take some examples. For example, in this masjid, alhamdulillah, we have people from all over the world. We have a large Arab community, a large non-Arab community, and I would say we have a very good balanced mix of people from all over the world. Of course, it's a university, it's a place where everybody is welcome. But if I come with this behavior, or if any of us come with this behavior, that Islam is either my way, the way I understand it, or there is no such thing as any concept of Islam, then we would have seen the diminishing of this community, of this masjid many, many years ago. But alhamdulillah, we try to facilitate, I don't address myself, as a community, we try to understand that we are from different parts of the world. And we try to understand that there are different understanding, different valid different methodologies which people adhere to, and we honor and respect that. For example, take just the example of salah, the most important tenet of our faith. If you look around in this masjid, we will see that people pray salah very differently. Some, before they go for ruku', they will raise their hands in rafa yadayn. Others, they will come up from ruku' and they will raise their hands in rafa yadayn. Others will raise their hands before going into ruku' and after coming after ruku', upon ruku'. There will be another third party who will not even raise their hands at the beginning of ruku' and coming after ruku'. Let's leave aside ruku'. Even when we start our salah, our takbir, there will be some, and all these are valid. And these are not contention that we need to debate over, because all of this is manifested in the 12 to 13 or 1400 years of Islamic history. It is documented in evidence-based works of the ulama from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But to argue, and this is my challenge, to argue that my salah is in accordance to Sahih Hadith, everything is absolutely Sahih and valid, there cannot be a bigger mistake than this. And I put this challenge to any brother or sister. Pick up any book of a Hadith, Bukhari, Muslim, whatever it may be, and show where the full salah, from takbir to salam, is documented in a hadith which is classified as absolutely sahih. You will not find this. You will find the takbir in one hadith, the ruku in another hadith, the sujood in another hadith, the tilawah in another hadith, the fatiha in another hadith. Yes, collectively you could put this to a context, but to say that my salah is documented in the books of hadith from takbir to salam, which is sahih, cannot be argued, because that is not the case. So leave aside takbir, just the way we stand in salah. Some will ensure that there are the gap of 4 fingers between our toes. Others will say a bit more of a gap. Others will say no, it is from my feet needs to touch the feet of somebody else. The other will say, hold on, I rather have nobody touching my feet. And we have these, and then debate and arguments fall out, and people are at each other's throats. The truth is, as lay people of the community, our knowledge is very limited when it comes to the sciences of a hadith. What is the answer to this? How do we live a simple Muslim life? Not having to worry about the sciences of hadith and the methodology and the research prospects. And what is thiqah, what is valid, what is invalid, what is sahih, what is da'if, what is mu'tabar, what is matruk, what is manqus, what is, we don't have the time to go into all of these definitions and understand, spend time to study these principles of a hadith. Many of you are academics, you are doctors, you are engineers, you are pharmacists, you have your own busy lives, working, time with family. So what should we do? What is practical? And the Islamic heritage of the past 12 to 13 to 1400 years, approximately 13 to 1400 years, have shown that the simple approach of living our life to be able to be simple lay Muslims is to have some trust in the early generation of scholars. And the early generations of scholars, more specific, and I'll be open, more specific along the four schools of thought of Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam Shafi'i, Imam Malik, and Imam Ahmad. We should have some trust with regards to these mu'tabar ulama, with these classical scholars and their schools of methodology and their principles of fiqh. If we have some trust in our early scholars and the methodology of their understanding of religion, then inshallah, I assure you that you will have some contentment in your salah. You'll have some contentment in your zakah, contentment about how you live your life as a Muslim. There are many debates I can share with you. For example, one of my teachers stated, much senior in age, but he came across another scholar who debated and who said, what is the need of following the madahib? What is the need of following the schools of thought? And this was their proposition. And the debate and discussion, so the scholar mentioned that for 30 years, we have been researching the understanding of salah. For 30 years, we have committed and spent a whole team of ours has been spending time of understanding the minhaj and the manhaj and the ahadith with regards to salah. And the response from not just the scholar which I'm referring to, but other many scholars is subhanallah. Subhanallah. You have spent 30 years trying to argue a point or establish a point which has been filtered, which has been saturated for the past 1400 years. You are talking about one tenet of faith, but what about the rest? What about Hajj? What about Zakah? What about Shahada? What about Sawm? That is still left. That will take another lifetime to research and our life will finish. Isn't it more practical that we rely on the authenticity and the jurisprudence and the works of the early scholars, which has been accepted by the past 1400 years, and the lay Muslim Ummah has been able to practice its religion? So that's a scholarly discussion. But today, as I say, subhanallah, it has become a hot topic. Everybody thinks that they know what is sahih and they know what is da'if. They know what is matruk, which is not acceptable, and they know what is mu'tabar, which is acceptable. But actually, why do we have to debate this in today's day and age? We've got bigger problems on our doorstep. The past 1400 years of scholarship, the ulama of Fadl al-Hadith, the ulama of the scholarship of Hadith, have dedicated their entire life behind this science. Should we not have some hope and some feelings in our heart that their methodology and their research is sufficient for us? Or do we think that we have the capability, the methodology and understanding, the research and understanding to be able to establish what is sahih and what is da'if? So let's be very careful that Islam is not my way or the highway. Islam is very, very universal. He accepts the variance that we find within our religion. Just because something is sahih to me and authentic to me might not be authentic to somebody else. Take the example of the discussions of Taraweeh prayers. And inshallah then I will spend a few minutes with regards to the science. And as I say, the few minutes will not justify the science of hadith and what is authentic or not. And that I leave to you. Say don't be narrow-minded doesn't mean that we pick up everything that comes in our way. For example, see, and time is short, but so many examples could be given. For example, according to one school of thought, Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi alayhi, from his understanding of the hadith, and when I say his, I talk about the whole volume of the ulama of Iraq, but it was their position that if somebody bleeds from their hand and blood leaves their area, the wudu breaks. According to Imam Shafi'i, wudu does not break. That's one situation. In another situation, according to Imam Shafi'i, if an individual touches a woman, the wudu breaks. All this is in Hadith. But according to Imam Hanifa, if an individual touches a woman, the wudu does not break. So you have two situations here. So let's say an individual, he says, well, I'm bleeding, I'll take the view of Imam Shafi'i today based on his understanding of that hadith, and I will accept that my wudu is not broken. Khalas, no problem. But the same individual then says, I've touched a woman, be that through intimacy or not, and the same person says, I take the view of Imam Abu Hanifa and my wudu is still intact. According to both schools of thought, both methodologies, this person's wudu is invalid. And the reason it is invalid because the methodology that that person has chosen is not substantiated in the fun of hadith or in the science of hadith, but it is substantiated on their nafs. What their nafs and their ego tells them. 1 minute this, 1 minute that, 1 minute this, 1 minute that. And that is where the problems begin. So, inshallah, as we move more further into the understanding of hadith, I will touch more further on the developments of fiqh and how it came to being and how we use it in today's day and age. But coming back to the point of sahih and da'if, let's make this point just to touch on this next 5 or so minutes. That if we, as I say, please go back and do your research, read, don't just rely upon what you hear. Do your reading, do your research. You are people of learning. Many of you, mashallah, have PhDs in your areas of learning. Pick up the science of hadith, pick up the science of religion, and also study in a similar way. So, what is authentic is not categorized by the book that we refer to. So let's understand from the outset. What is authentic is not categorized by the book that we refer to. Although that the ulama of hadith state, and they have a unanimous, this is ijma', this is a unanimous agreement of the ulama of hadith, like the hadith that has been gathered by Imam Bukhari and that which is gathered by Imam Muslim are sahih, are authentic. But that does not mean no other book does not have sahih hadith. There are sahih hadith in the Musnad, many sahih hadith in the Musnad of Imam Ahmad. There are many sahih hadith, rather majority are sahih in the narration of Imam Malik in his Muwatta. So the definition of sahih is not the definition of the Matanul Hadith. And sorry, forgive me, at times this can be complex. The reason I share this is because it is not an easy understanding of what is sahih, what is da'if. We can't just rant off that this is sahih, this is da'if, this doesn't sit with me, so I'm not going to accept this. This sits with me, mashallah, I will accept this. That's not good enough. The ulama of hadith, the scholars of hadith, have categorized over the past 1200 years what is authentic and what is not authentic. And we have enough references, enough evidences to go back to establish what is authentic, what is not authentic. Just because a hadith is not in Bukhari or Muslim does not mean that we cannot practice this hadith. Because according to the definition of other classical established ulama and scholars, this action or this hadith is authentic. So what categorizes a sahih, and I will inshallah finish with this, I will finish with two things. Regards to what categorizes authenticity, and if we can use da'if or weak hadith or not. So firstly, what categorizes authentic hadith? The categorization of what is authentic and the methodology that is used of the categorization of what is authentic is not the actual text or the saying of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The ulama agree upon this. Of what, and it is well documented over the past 1200 years. We don't need to do further, or we can do more further research, but established evidence shows us that the text which shows the qeel or the narration of the Prophet ﷺ, the fi'l, the action of the Prophet ﷺ, or the approval of the Prophet ﷺ, the actual text, what is authentic is established. Where the debate or the methodology changes is when it comes to the transmission of the hadith. And when I say in what we know in our books of hadith is the isnad, the transition of the hadith, the transmission from ourselves to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Where there is questions and debates around the transmission of the hadith, that is where the query and the debate comes, if this hadith is authentic or not. And sometimes you will see that many hadith that Imam Tirmidhi has brought, we will not find that hadith in the book of Muslim or Bukhari, but according to the Ummah, the Ijma' of the Ummah, that the hadith that is narrated by Imam Tirmidhi is also Sahih, because of his understanding or his methodology when it comes to the transmission of hadith from himself to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So they say, it is not easy to run top that this is Sahih, this is Da'if. It is a whole science. At times, people, subhanAllah, they'll come and they'll say, Shaykh, hold on, what you have narrated is Da'if, it's weak. So you can ask, how is it weak? How is it non-authentic? How is it flawed or fabricated? And that's another point. Just because something is da'if does not mean it is unworthy to use because it is fabricated. Something that is weak is not necessarily fabricated. Fabricated in the science of hadith is termed as mawdu', unacceptable to use or fabricated, made up. And that we don't use. But there's a difference between what is da'if, weak, and what is mawdu', what is fabricated. That's a different debate altogether. But they'll say, Shaykh, you can't use this. So you ask them, why do you not use this? And they'll say, because according to my research, and they'll take out a piece of paper, and they'll say, Shaykh, according to me, on my narration and on my calculation, the hadith is, وَبِهِ قَالَ حَدَّثَنَا, and they'll start reading the hadith. And they'll say, and even the Arabic is unprecedented. They are unable to even recite the Arabic, and they are debating the text of the hadith. And they'll say, Shaykh, hold on, actually, I've got the page upside down, let me read this right, get this right, and they'll start reading the hadith again. Let us be real. Who are we to, ridicule hadith, establish what is sahih and da'if, when we can't even read the text? Leave it, and subhanallah. Today, we will say, well, according to the English translation of Qur'an, this is my view. Well, the authenticity of the hadith is not from the English translation. And even the English translation is a rendered attempt to translate the Arabic into English. So we need to go back to the original Arabic texts to understand and justify our arguments. Anyway, and the final point is, can we use da'if hadith in practice, in application? And according to the majority of the scholars, and amongst them is Imam Nawawi. Many of you may have read the Riyadh al-Salihin, very famous book of hadith in the Muslim world. And according to Imam Nawawi, rahmatullahi alayhi, and many other senior scholars, amongst them is Imam Tirmidhi, rahmatullahi alayhi, that a hadith which are weak can be used and can be practiced upon for fada'il, for virtue. There is no harm in this. And of course, and again, there are whole books and whole encyclopedic pieces of work that are out there as to what hadith is weak and what is fabricated. So we're not saying that we use fabricated hadith. But the problem that we have is we can't differentiate people, normal lay people, we can't even differentiate between weak and fabricated. According to our understanding, our narrow understanding, is something that is weak is fabricated, but that's not the case. So the weakness of the hadith can be used in fada'il, in practice, but when we have authentic hadith that say otherwise, then we will depend on this. See, other people, they use this debate and this argument that we find from the words of the scholars, that if something you find is sahih, then leave. And they say, for example, they say Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi alayhi has said this, that if you find a qawl or a narration that is sahih, then leave my narration and go for sahih, and follow that which is sahih. But my question is, as Abdullah, who's a normal person, lay person walking on the streets, how do we differentiate between what is sahih and what is da'if? We don't have the skills, the research skills, the methodological knowledge to be able to establish this. So we refer to the scholars and the ulama. I leave you with this final point. And the final point is, though Imam Muslim, and I'm not going to use contemporary scholars, I'm going to use scholars that we all agree upon. That Imam Muslim rahmatullahi alayhi, who was a student of Imam Bukhari, he had utmost respect for his teacher. Utmost respect for his teacher. But he disagreed in many points with his teacher. In many masail. For example, when he brought many hadith in his sahih, which even Imam Bukhari disagreed with, but he still brought it into his sahih, because according to his methodology, they were worthy to use. But when he came to relationship with his scholar, with his teacher, he had utmost respect. Compassion when he came to disagreement. This is what we don't have. Being compassionate, although we disagree. Imam Muslim rahmatullahi alayhi, once he was teaching in the majma'ah of his people, and in that gathering, Imam Bukhari rahmatullahi alayhi came. We find in the narrations that when this happened, Imam Muslim began to tremble, out of honor, out of respect for his honorable teacher. He was expected to carry on in his teachings, but out of honor and out of respect, he said, how can I teach hadith in front of the A'imma and the Imam of Ahadith? I don't have the courage, I don't have the audacity to do this, because he's my teacher. I have utmost respect for him, and I feel that he should be in my place above me. This was the compassion and the love. We find other scholars, though they disagreed with their teachers, though they disagreed with the other ulama, subhanallah, when it came to their respect, they would say, how can I put my feet towards the house of this Fulan scholar? How can I put, and this was their respect, how could I put my feet towards the house of this Fulan scholar? I may have disagreed with him on some masail, but at the end of the day, he was a scholar in his own caliber. We need to be compassionate, merciful with one another in our disagreements. We should not be going down each other's throats just because I believe something to be sahih and somebody else believes it to be da'if. I believe something to be da'if and weak and somebody else believes it to be sahih. This is not the time and the era for this. Go along and do your duties. Pray your salah the way you wish to pray your salah, as long as it's established in the sunnah. Do not be at each other's throats.